Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today we're going to talk about Dungeons & Dragons Honor Among Thieves, and we're specifically going to talk about Week 3 box office, and we're really going to dive deep on what the problem with Dungeons & Dragons Honor Among Thieves is. What is the future of the Dungeons & Dragons cinematic universe? What happened? Let's dig into it. So one, I'm incredibly thankful to be having this conversation with you. I'm incredibly proud of Hasbro for giving Dungeons & Dragons a second opportunity at an actual real an actual real American cinematic universe, an American blockbuster. And Hasbro and E1 and Paramount Pictures and Daly and Goldstein and the incredible troupe of actors and actresses, Hugh Grant and Chris Pine and Justice Smith and Regé-Jean Page and Sophia Lillis and Michelle Rodriguez, they did an incredible, astounding amount of work to make this happen. And so I will say this: I do not think that this film failed for lack of effort from Hasbro, from any of the actors I just mentioned, from these incredible directors. There was an amazing amount of effort that was put into this, and what was delivered was an astounding film. And one of the problems that we have is this is going to be really rough to get. I think there may be a path to that the Dungeons & Dragons cinematic universe may still occur, but it won't occur because of commercial success. It won't occur because of merit, right? Like there's just this is a failed experiment, right? Like this is the second failed Dungeons & Dragons movie. We have to accept that, and you will hear some nonsense about it, right? Like that there were commercial wins that this movie had. There are no commercial wins on this film, right? It failed commercially. It did not, and it succeeded critically. Right? So let me give you the numbers. All right, we're in week 3, okay? Week 1, all right, these numbers are very complicated, and I think some people might be tempted to say that the number I'm about to say is too high, but I don't think it's true. I think week 1 was really 52 million, right? It was reported as 38.5. There's a lot of complicated blah, 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 blah. I'm going to skip all that. Let's call it 52 million on opening weekend, okay? Then second weekend was a massive drop to 15 million, okay? And then this week, the third week of release, was 7 million. The movie was number 6, right? Like on the top 10. It was like it was completely forgotten. And this was the week that the word of mouth was supposed to manifest, right? And the reason it didn't manifest was it was second week for Super Mario Brothers, and Super Mario Brothers took every premium screen, and it took every extra screen that D&D needed. So I do think some word of mouth manifested, and people went and they were like, "Oh, I can't see it in IMAX. Oh, and there's no good showing, no good times, and I'm going to see this with nobody in the theater, and it's going to be on a super tiny screen." And people are like, "I'll just wait until it drops on Paramount Plus, or I'll purchase it for $20, or I'll rent it for $4, 3 months from now." And it's done. You can call it a wrap, people, right? So the numbers I just give you, these are the domestic. Week 1, 52 million. Week 2, 15 million. Week 3, 7 million domestic. Okay? That comes out to 74 million. 74 million in 3 weeks domestic. That's in the US alone. And then there's 83 million in international, right? That's 157 million. The movie cost 150 million and probably cost another 100 to another 150 million in promotion and marketing, right? And so there's just no way around this. There's no way around this, right? This movie is a commercial failure, okay? Now, what the heck happened? The terrifying thing here is we're never going to create a better movie. It was not that the movie was good. The movie was incredible, right? So if the movie was incredible, but nobody came to see it, what is the problem, okay? Number one problem, I've already discussed it publicly. I'm not going to spend another word on it, okay? It's because I've already stated it. I'm not going to repeat myself there, okay? Number two, the D&D name. And I'm going to give you three reasons why I think that you know, I already discussed reason one. I'm not going to say another word on it, okay? That problem was the D&D communities to overcome, and we did not overcome it, okay? Here's the second one. The D&D name, Dungeons and Dragons. What does it mean to people? What does it mean to people, right? It's nerd stuff. It's still nerd stuff to the average American. They're like, oh, I ain't playing that thing. Like, you sit in your basement and pretend to be an elf, and you haven't moved out of your mom's house. Nah, that ain't me, right? And it's completely wrong. It's not fair, but there's still that perception. I just think the Dungeons and Dragons name doesn't mean anything to the average American. And that is horribly sad. And I don't like saying it, but I also want to look at this in real context and really talk. We can't solve a problem we're not willing to talk about. We can't solve problems we're not willing to acknowledge, right? And the D&D community and Hasbro did not overcome that perception, right? Now, I truly believe it's 100% wrong. It's not true, right? But the perception is still there, and that is brutal. That is brutal, right? And so it's the name, and then what else why didn't this manifest, right? And it's and then I'm going to say it, like, I cannot stress this enough. Super Mario Brothers was a massive problem. I think we actually got paired against this year's winner. Super Mario Brothers is not a good movie that did well. Like Grace Randolph has been saying, this fundamentally changes Hollywood forever. Like, basically what's going to happen is the Super Mario Brothers movie will become a model for bringing video games to Hollywood. And the video game companies are coming with a lot more power than they used to have. And Hollywood needs the video game industry's help. And it could be 5-10 years of, and we got crunched. We got crunched by Super Mario Brothers, right? And it's a major problem, but it was our problem. It was the D&D community's problem, and it was Hasbro's problem to defeat, right? Winners don't whine, right? And we didn't do it. We didn't defeat it. So there's that perception, there's that name perception. We just don't have that ability to. Dungeons and Dragons is not right now. Is not a global intellectual property, right? It's not a powerful global intellectual property. It's a weak global intellectual property. It is known globally, okay, but it is a weak global intellectual property, not even a moderate intellectual property or a strong intellectual property. Global. And I apologize. This is a very sad video, right? But I wanted, but this is a huge event in Dungeons and Dragons history, and I wanted to take a minute to talk about it and say we didn't overcome the obstacles that we had to overcome. And so I would love to, and I would love to go 1, 2, 3. These are all the problems, and this is unfair. It's not. It's fair. Like, it's fair. It was on you and me, and it was on Hasbro to overcome these obstacles, to slay this dragon, right? And we didn't. It was a 3-headed dragon, I think. Super Mario Brothers, Dungeons and Dragons, old, unfair, wrong Dungeons and Dragons expectation, and one more head, right? But and we didn't overcome them. All those problems were ours to overcome, and we didn't, right? So, and that is frustrating. That is incredibly frustrating, right? And so I'm very sorry that there wasn't, a better, but I also, this channel is here to be a presentation of Dungeons and Dragons present, right? I'm a presentorian, right? Not a historian. I'm a presentorian. I'm hyper interested in Dungeons and Dragons present, right? In context to its past and in context to its future, right? And I just think we need to acknowledge the D&D community and Hasbro failed to overcome the triple-headed Hydra, right? Super Mario Brothers, unfair expectations from the 80s on Dungeons and Dragons name itself, and the last head, right? And so it was ours to overcome, and we failed to do it. And there's just no way around it other than that. Every single word of that is my humble opinion. What's important is when I get to hear your humble opinion. Is there another head I missed? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Please consider liking and subscribing, and have a wonderful millennium.